January 12, 2022. Here in the Philippines, it is 2:30, no, 2:30 in the afternoon. By the way, the Philippines is in Asia, Southeast Asia, and I am in the main island here in the Philippines, which is Luzon. Luzon is the biggest island here in the Philippines, and I am at southern Luzon here in the Philippines. Uh, Given that the Philippines has three major islands: Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Okay, as for the topic for this session, uh, the question now is who is one of the pioneers in paranormal research and investigation here in the Philippines? Okay, would you know the answer to that? When we talk about being a pioneer, I think and I believe that Jaime Licauco, no, Mr. Jaime Licauco, Mr. Halloween himself, is one of the pioneers when it comes to paranormal research and investigation here in the Philippines. Okay, and how does he practice his vocation? Aside from or apart from his travels and in his aside from his field research, he also writes a column for the Philippine Daily Inquirer. The column is called Inner Mind, and he also has a program at DZMM, and he comes up with books from time to time. And for this session, we're gonna be talking about some of his books, some of which I also have, some I don't have. So if ever I forget to mention any of his, you may also wanna comment, okay, on his books, and you may also wanna tell us what you think about his books. Right. So, by the way, I'm Jason, your host for this channel, Hagbayon, a small YouTube channel, but a channel devoted to current events, literature, writing, history, culture, the outdoors, blade culture, martial arts, healing practices, prepping, survivalism, camping, outdoors activities, hiking, cycling, etc., including some other topics that are of interest to me personally and my friends. Okay, uh, the so-called allied topics, topics that are somewhat related to, for example, the outdoors, prepping, survivalism, alternative healing, alternative medicine, herbal medicine, etc. When I go to Baguio, I encounter a lot of methods in healing and alternative medicine, and also encounter a lot of stories, okay, paranormal or otherwise, okay, um, part of oral tradition, etc., etc. Now, what are his books? No, what are the books of Jaime Licauco to date? Let's mention some of them. There's the book Understanding the Psychic Powers of Man. This is his very first book, published in 1978 by National Bookstore, and by there was a reissue by uh, Anvil, Anvil Publishing in 2008. Okay, another book is the book The Truth Behind Faith Healing in the Philippines. Okay, published by National Bookstore in 1980. There's also the book The Magicians of God, The Amazing Stories of Philippine Faith Healers, published by Anvil in 1999. I don't have this book. But I do have the first book, The Understanding the Psychic Powers of Man. All right. I also have this book, the Magicians of God. Okay. There's also the book, The Psychic World and You, published by De La Salle University Press in 1982 and 1999. So there was a revised edition or another edition. I don't have a copy of this book. There's also True Encounters of the Unknown, okay, published by Anvil in 1986 and in the year 2000. Okay, I have a copy of this book. There's also the so-called the book Beyond Ordinary Reality, exploring the powers of the inner mind, published by Solar Publishing in 1987. Okay, and this next volume, there's a volume two of Beyond Ordinary Reality, exploring the powers of the inner mind, but it was published by De La Salle University and it was in 1999. So there's also the book Exploring the Powers of Your Inner Mind, okay, published by the New Mind Development Institute in 1992. And there was another edition published by Anvil in 2005. Okay, there's the book Soulmates, Karma, and Reincarnation. I think this is a bestseller. Okay, and I have a copy of this, published by Anvil, 1996. There's also the book More Encounters with the Unknown. I do have a copy of this, but it was borrowed by Apolline. Shout out to Apolline. Okay, this was published by Anvil in 1997. Also, the book When the Impossible Happens, Confession of a Reluctant Psychic, published by Anvil in 1999. Okay, and the book On Christianity, New Age and Reincarnation, New Perspectives on Old Religious Issues, published by Anvil in 2004. And there's the book Dwarves and Other Nature Spirits, um, by Rex Publishing, published in 2005. Lots of books, huh? And there's the book in Photos, published by Anvil in 2000. Okay, and the book From the Profound to the Profane, okay, published by Anvil in 2009. I have a copy of this. Okay, there's also Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Ghosts, published by Anvil in 2011. By the way, the title is actually Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Ghosts, but Were Afraid to Ask. I have a copy of this. And this book, The Amazing Stories of Psych of Philippine Psychic Surgeons, published by Anvil in 2013. I also have a copy of this. There's also the book Super Mind, Super Body. Licauco actually co-authored co-authored with Cory Quirino for this particular title. Published by Anvil Publishing in 2013. So those are just some of Jaime Licauco's books. There are also pamphlets, I believe there are pamphlets. Um, what Jaime Licauco book do I have right now? Well, I already mentioned that I have a copy of some of his books, but right now, of course, since I like to travel, I only have one. I thought of bringing one of his books so that I could read them when I am camping or when I am outdoors, etc., or when I am passing time at the farm, and you know, thinking about all this oral tradition, stories from Baguio folks about encantos, duendes, etc. And what better way than to actually also read a book by Jaime Licauco. This is what I have right now. This is the book True Encounters with the Unknown, revised edition by Jaime Licauco. So this is the book that I have right now. And the question now is, what are its contents? Um, there's an article here by, let me try to check it. Cynthia Hart, about uh, let me check. Let me check. Um, about Mount Banahaw. No, no, read. Yeah, I'm talking about Mount Banahaw. So there's a write up here by Licauco himself, also by an American uh, so-called healer by the name of Andrea Kagan. And I surmise that the cover is actually Andrea Kagan because the the woman here looks like Andrea Kagan a lot. Well, in my opinion. So if Sir Jaime is actually watching this, is my suspicion correct? Oh, there. Now, what are its contents? Well, there's the contents. Part 1, Psychic and Unusual People. Chapter 1, Sister Therese, the Incredible Clairvoyant. This is actually about this person who's deceased already, but at the time he exhibited or she exhibited great psychic powers, personally witnessed by Jaime Licauco. There's Ronald Joaquin, the so-called bionic wonder boy. Ronald Joaquin. Let's check it out. It's in page 8. It's believed that Ronald Joaquin was actually adopted by the late President, according to Ilocos and according to this book, because of his powers. It's also something about Swami Premananda, okay, amazing Sri Lankan guru. Licauco says that he doesn't like gurus, but he he finds exception in the person of Swami Premananda, who was quoted to have said that if you eat meat, you make a cemetery of your stomach. So if you eat meat, it's like you are making your stomach, you're turning your stomach into a cemetery. And Premananda would say that he is not really advocating, uh, uh, advocating being a vegan, but It's just telling us what happens to our stomachs when we eat meat. Right. Okay, there's also a title on Ruben Blanco. Is he half Encanto? Okay, there's also Cynthia Hart, outstanding psychic, shaman, and prophet. There's also Mount Banahaw. This is actually a great article about Mount Banahaw, about Licauco's visit at Mount Banahaw, okay, with Andrea Kagan, and of course with some other friends. Andrea also wrote an article about the visit to Banahaw, and Licauco included it in this book. Um, I find memorable the article of Andrea Kagan, um, the way it was written, of course, and the way he looked at Mount Banao as an outsider, and being an outsider, being in a strange country and with strange people, it was somehow odd and a bit surprising that he realized that she wanted to be in the Philippines. That somehow it was like destiny for her to actually come over here and experience Mount Manahaw. And as per Jaime Licauco, he actually thought that, you know, he was actually told by others that he already met Andrea Kagan in one of his past lives, something like that. So it's really interesting to read about people waking up and realizing about things about their past life, if you believe in past life. Okay, there's also an article on the bleeding statue of the Virgin of Lowaka in Baguio, and the mystery and power of Stonehenge. This one I find really strange. Um, I find it peculiar, this uh, edifice, this structure at Great Britain. Um, it's quite mysterious, and we are always baffled and always forced to think when we actually encounter something that we cannot explain. It becomes a phenomena to us, or a phenomenon. But then again, we may have some sort of explanation for it, but the back of our heads, you're still baffled, bedazzled, and mystified by, for example, something like Stonehenge. So you might want to read about Stonehenge as well. Okay, there's also an article on quartz crystals. Were they from Atlantis? Apparently, Jaime Licauco received a quartz crystal reputed to be from Atlantis. Strange case of spirit photography. Yeah, yeah, I actually encountered this same topic in one of his other books, the second edition to this, More Encounters with the Unknown, on strange photography. I know, on spirit photography. But that particular book is not with me right now. It was borrowed. There's also hidden message behind the moving statues. It's actually about the statue of Jesus Christ and Mother Mary, and somehow uh, during during a trance, one of Emily Cauco's friends, uh, becoming a medium, somehow showed that the messages could be from ETs. Yeah, it's a very strange supposition. And what is memorable for me is that the ET was saying that they got here, okay, from another galaxy, a galaxy of light, and that uh, they got here through what we call the mind. Mhm. You see, after the visit to the after a visit to see the moving statues, Jaime Licauco was visited by two friends, and they perform a kind of a ritual, and his female friend, you know, uh, uh, played the role of a medium, or served as the medium, and somehow, according to the article, Licauco and his friend was able to converse with the entities behind the moving statues of Jesus Christ and Mary, in that apparently they were ETs, extraterrestrials. Really interesting, but again, subject to speculation and subject to investigation, I think. I mean, requiring investigation. There's also an article on a woman loved by a demon. Well, it's about an incubus. So it's also miracle at Apo Ina's altar, sexually active ghosts in a preschool. This is interesting. Okay, there's this preschool and it is being haunted by um, a female and a male ghost who would actually uh, you know do some mischief on some of the equipment, particularly the computer system of the school, the CCTV system, and it prompted the school administrator or owner to actually call Jaime Licauco, and he did. And there's even a report that the two ghosts are actually sexually active. Very interesting. Um, there. There's also an article on Dina Bonnevie about a timely warning saves Dina Bonnevie's life. So this is about a person who attended the Jaime Licauco's Inner Mind seminars, and while praying at a chapel, he got an angelic message, a message that said that um, Dina Bonnevie will die in Peru. So, well, Jaime Licauco actually informed uh, Dina Bonnevie through the grapevine, and somehow they were able to talk about it. And indeed, Dina Bonnevie was actually really planning to go to Peru that time, and therefore the warning was not a hoax. It was real. Part three: unusual beliefs and practices. Falsus belief in elementals or nature spirits. So this is for those who are into the belief in elements and nature spirits. Okay, and something very interesting next: Tantra yoga of sex. Hmm. For people who are into new age, Tantra yoga, spirituality. Another article is sex and spirituality. Can they go together? Okay, can they go together? Which reminds me of a YouTuber by the name of Anais Verney. Hi there, Anais. Okay, I'm now talking about Jaime Licauco's books, and I remember you actually making a video on sex and spirituality. And it's nice that we are reminded that actually Jaime Licauco also wrote an article on sex and spirituality. Can they go together? Okay. There's also an article on Colonel Bernardo Seguera and his UFO obsession. So I actually talked about this in an earlier episode here. I think it was about planet hunting, etc. Planet hunting, and I mentioned Colonel Bernardo Seguera, retired Colonel Bernardo Seguera, and his UFO uh, hypothesis, his UFO inputs. Of course, always subject to investigation and speculation. Um, there's also the final article, Indigenous Beliefs in the Afterlife. This is very interesting. Indigenous beliefs in the afterlife. I think we should talk about this next Undas, or in the coming Undas in November 2022. Filipino beliefs in the afterlife. So here's the pages covering the topic. Mhm. Interesting. We can read this. Well, actually, we can read the conclusion. No? Let's read the conclusion as per this topic. Filipino indigenous beliefs in the afterlife. There's a belief of the Tingians, natives of Abra province. There's the belief of the Sulod people of Panay. Okay, there's also this is Sulod Manobo belief. Okay, Bagobo's belief in life after death. There. Conclusion. Licauco says there are several generalizations one can make regarding the beliefs of Filipinos in life after death. First, the afterlife is simply a continuation of our earthly existence, although in spirit form. The only thing we discard after death is the body. Everything else remains the same. Second, the spirit of the departed individual hovers around the house near the corpse for several days before it journeys to its final resting place. Third, there is always the possibility of communication with the spirit of the dead through the mediums. At least this is true before the period of mourning is over, which lasts from 7 days to several months, depending on the community belief. Mediums have always played a very active role in the death ceremonies among tribal Filipinos. It is only during the advent of Christianity that their roles have been put aside and even condemned. But many rural Filipinos still believe in them and consult them. Fourth, the spirits of the dead affect very much the affairs of the living, and our fortunes and misfortunes are influenced to a large extent by the deceased relatives. That's the reason why paying homage to the dead is such a hallowed practice by the Filipinos. Okay. Fifth, the concept of reward or punishment or heaven and hell is not well defined or articulated in their belief system. Only those communities which have been influenced by Christianity speak of heaven and hell or similar concepts. The final resting place of the departed soul is a more beautiful and elegant town or place than what we have here on earth. The reward for good living is in being the supreme beings, or in being near the supreme being's abode. The concept of hell is not present in their beliefs. Okay? The following wise words of Ang Su, a being of light, were communicated to the author. Apparently, Ang Su is a spirit guide of Licauco. gives a fitting conclusion to this discussion. Okay, let's quote Ang Su. Okay. You will no doubt see how fragile your conceptions of your mortality upon your world is. Let me just say for you that there are various densities, various dimensions, various variables in your structure. Death, as you term it, or the atrophy of your physical shell, is no less than the cycle of the seasons in analogy. Why, in fact, no more than your dirt and dust are in truth the peoples of eons back recycled into their concert upon this world. Interesting. Why? In fact, back recycled into their concert upon this world. We're in fact representing people's eons ago because our, you know, the things that make us human, the ingredients of our body, what composes our physical body is somewhat from eons ago. Dead people are not beyond you, they are rather within all of you. Love is the link. Think and ponder deeper upon this reality that is sublime in its hidden force. That's Ang Su. Okay, the spirit guide, no? The spirit guide of Jaime Licauco. Okay, what do we get from his books? Well, what do you think? I think open-mindedness, open rationality. Without we can be of open mind without actually compromising our rationality. You know, which is actually beneficial because it is when you suspend judgment. Okay, you suspend judgment and allow some space for investigation and for a little doubt and for some little logic and science to operate, and yet you are still open mind, open rationality. I think that's what we can get from his books. By the way, shout out to Hinupa Channel, Lady Cimarron, Alex, Vernie, Bernard Cruz, Bong de la Torre, Ray Sibayan, Get Well Soon, Sir Ray, Jose Rizal Adventures, Pinay Survivalist. This has been Jason, your host for this small YouTube channel, Hagbayon. Okay, thanks for watching. Remember, the pen is mightier with a sword. Thank you.